Greetings, my name is Chiffon Smith, and we will be discussing systematic approaches in higher education. And that's just a fancy way of saying this presentation is going to be examining the organized methods and strategies used to manage and run colleges and universities. So the role of structured frameworks in improving student outcomes are as follows, or the roles, I should say. We have to have clear guidelines for decision making. We need to know what our objectives are. Structured frameworks are important tools in colleges and universities, helping leaders and teachers make smart decisions that support both the school's goals and the students' needs. They clearly show what is expected and how things should be done, so programs are running consistently. Ignore my typo. All right, and so we have data-driven strategies for identifying at-risk students. So when we use data-based strategies within organized systems, it helps schools to be able to pinpoint and locate students that might be having academic or personal difficulties. This approach allows them to provide support early, which can improve student retention and success. So that's a lot of times how students are being affected by those standardized tests. What they will do is kind of categorize you by proficiency. I forget what the terminology is. I think it's approaching the grade level, and then it's distinguished. I wish I would have looked that up. Anyway, what they do is group you based on your performance, and teachers are able to use this data to structure their lesson if they need to go back and review, or if they need to move forward and introduce new material. The data that they receive will tell them which direction to move in. Collaboration among faculty and administration. So structured frameworks help faculty and administrators work together, which creates a more unified and supportive school environment. And the teamwork becomes super important for building and carrying out plans that meet student needs and improve academic success in all areas. I like to say we over me, because it's about the success of everyone working together. All right, so we've got our enhanced responsibility and open communication. Structured frameworks make it clear why decisions are made, helping everybody to understand the process. This openness builds trust and encourages faculty, staff, and students to stay involved. So just keeping those lines of communication open. It's important for administrators to facilitate information on a need-to-know basis, and also to do it in advance, and to make sure everyone is on one accord with the information that is being disseminated, so nobody feels left out or just left behind with the information that's being presented. All right, and this was kind of my breakdown or my analysis of the readings and the videos uploaded in Unit 6. The one that stuck out to me discussed the importance of systematic education frameworks, which is what this entire presentation is about. And then case studies demonstrate success. So in the article, it discussed a lot of the case studies that were successful. And then we talk about data analytics, which drives student outcomes. So that's just assessing student data and knowing which direction we need to go in. Focusing on student engagement strategies, things that keep the scholars engaged in the lesson is super critical, especially in this day and age with social media. Just making sure that our scholars are getting what they need, and they are not just engaged, but they are able to relate to what is being communicated to them. And then retention strategies through the frameworks. So just different things and implementations that help with the effectiveness of the curriculum. All right, personal experience. Impact of systematic structures in higher education. So I added in some personal experiences. The first thing that I wrote down was working at an alternative middle school. I dealt with students that had a lot of behavioral issues. It was very hard to redirect them at times. And one thing that I loved that this school implemented was a buddy system. They would actually bring in college students from the local colleges in Atlanta, and they created a program where they would come and they would match up each student in the program with one of the mentors from the colleges. And it was really cool for the kids because they got to connect with them, and it was like a cool mentor or a role model to look up to. And it just kind of helped foster community and collaboration. And it gave the students something to look forward to. And it kind of, a lot of times it will help redirect their behavior because they wanted to impress, their big brother or big sister, and they wanted to give them good feedback about their day. So that was one of our behavioral strategies that kind of kept the students in line. Another thing that I thought of that was super impactful when I taught 7th grade ELA, they used grading software that highlighted the students that were below a C average. So if you had a D or an F, the software would automatically highlight you, and that would kind of prompt educators to send out a warning email, which gave students a heads up before they fell too far behind, which was super helpful in being able to get grades up. All right, so here is our, I hate that it zoomed in first. We're going to, talk about the things that were implemented that were successful. So 15% increased retention came from structured advising. So I actually talked about this on my last presentation. Just having academic coaches and instructional coaches and advisors definitely helps retention. 20% enhanced academic performance using data analytics. So that's just looking at your students' performance and reviewing the information and seeing, okay, this student looking at the trends in the data. I noticed that every single person got question 3 wrong. So question 3 might not be an issue of whether or not the student is retaining the information, but maybe how the information is being delivered, because everybody struggled with that. So that kind of just helps guide teachers on exactly where they need to tighten up on their lessons. 30%, and this was the largest percentage of improvement, was student satisfaction scores with collaborative learning frameworks. So that's that teamwork, that's that interdisciplinary studies, that's just being able to collab with one another, because of course many heads are better than one. And then we got a 10% boost in engagement levels due to targeted intervention strategies. And we got this data from our article that I referenced at the end of this video. 25% reduction in dropout rates through early identification of at-risk students. So that's just like that software that I was speaking about that highlighted at-risk students. That's the same type of deal. Anytime you've got preventative or software that helps you take preventative measures before the problem gets out of hand, we love to see that. And as you can see, this percentage lets us know that this is helping. This is impactful. All right, so this is a case study of data analytics in higher education. Understanding the systematic use of data analytics to enhance student outcomes. So this is kind of giving you the process and the strategy of what to do when you get that student data back. So this is just a step-by-step. First, you've got to collect it. We've got data collection. You're going to gather the comprehensive student performance data from various sources to create a holistic view of their academic progress. Then we're going to analyze the data. So the data analysis allows us to utilize analytical tools to identify trends. That's that word that we spoke on earlier. Trends, patterns, and at-risk students who may require additional support. Those preventative measures. Then we've got intervention strategies. So that says, okay, we've identified the problem. Now we need to figure out what we can do to solve it. So that's implementing targeted support programs such as tutoring, mentoring, and counseling to assist identified at-risk youth. And then the evaluation. So that's when we make our assessment and we assess the effectiveness of implemented interventions through metrics like retention rates, academic performance, and student feedback. So we look at all of these things and we say, is this, are these interventions effective? Are they working? Are they not? Because if they're not, let's do away with some and let's bring in and welcome more that are more effective, because the goal is academic success for our students. All right, and we're just going to skip over that slide. These are our references. So we've got the article that was listed in Unit 6 was where I pulled most of my data from. So thank you very much, and this concludes my presentation.